and welcome to season 2 of the Next Generation Role Model Show. I'm your host, Victoria Summer, and today on the show, we have singer, actress, and role model, Kacey Fifield here to chat about her and her work. Welcome, Kacey.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being on the show. I'm really excited to have you start up our season 2 of Next Generation Role Model. And my first question for you is, when did you first know you wanted to be a singer?
Well, ever since I was little, I would always love randomly singing the theme songs of Disney shows and coming up with my own random little verses and choruses. And I started taking singing lessons when I was 10. Soon after, I got the opportunity to work with a music producer and release my very first song, which is called When I Grow Up. And since then, I've just really enjoyed the journey and the path that it's taken me.
Fantastic. And do you have, just as a side note here, do you have musicians in your family?
I actually do not. I don't, but I think I was just really motivated by everything I saw on TV, especially. I grew up watching a ton of Disney and Nick shows, and they had a ton of singing, a ton of fun acting. So all that just kind of inspired me to want to entertain.
Very good. Yeah, I understand that feeling. And so I found you on Instagram. You have a substantial following on there. What do you want to use your social media for?
I think it's really important for me to use my social media to kind of get the word out about my music so that other people are able to find it and listen. And I also, as much as possible, I like to spread positive messages by including motivational quotes and promoting charities that I support and that I believe in. I think it's really important to do that so my feed isn't just completely me promoting myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. And then in terms of social media, I mean, for instance, when I was growing up and wanting to be a singer like you, we didn't have social media. And obviously it's grown and grown in the last 15 years, social media itself. How has it impacted your career and your life?
Social media has honestly changed the game in so many different ways. I think it's a lot easier for people to get others to listen to their music through social media. And for that, I'm really, really grateful because I'm able to find people who actually listen to me on Spotify, and they can follow me on Instagram and DM me and say, hey, I really like this song. That just means a ton. And then sometimes my posts get on people's explore pages and they may not have heard of me before, but then they see my music and then they go listen. And it's just a great way to connect with more and more people and have more people listen to my music and tell me about it.
Yeah, and I appreciate, how much you've included so much positivity on not just on your page, but also in your music as well, which I think is definitely role model material. And in terms of starting out, it's not always easy. You mentioned that you don't have any parents who are musicians. I assume you don't have any parents who are necessarily in the business in terms of entertainment. So it was a similar thing for me. So what advice would you give to kids who are starting out, perhaps in your position too, and don't really have a foot up in this industry?
I'd say that it's really important to truly love what you're doing. I think a lot of people, they think it's really easy to make it big and become rich and famous. But if that's what you're seeking, then you're not going to be enjoying the path. You're not going to be enjoying anything that happens to you before success, and you probably won't get to the level of success because you might burn out. So it's really important that you actually enjoy making music and enjoy singing so that you can have fun along the way. And even if you aren't a success at first, you'll still have the motivation to persevere and continue working hard. I think that that's the most important part.
Yeah, because for some people, their biggest success might come in their 40s or 50s, and that's not unheard of at all. Sometimes people have worked their whole life, and it's very interesting how that happens. It happens to singers, it happens to actors, and there's a lot of stories like that, which is definitely really interesting. Now, social media has positive and negatives for me, and quite often I notice I don't want to say that the positives outweigh the negatives, but sometimes they can feel that they do in that way, because there can be such a large amount of bullying and negativity, which is pushed towards kids, especially if they're young kids and they're of an age where they're heavily influenced. And it's extremely upsetting to have, negativity, particularly posted personally about yourself on your feed. And I'm interested to know, in terms of you and how you actually deal with that.
I think the most important thing for me is setting boundaries and limits. I think that if I go down the rabbit hole of looking through every single comment I get and going through all of my DMs, I can kind of feel myself getting affected by the toxicity that a lot of people have on there. But I think it's really important for people to enjoy things outside of the internet and have fun with their friends, make lasting memories, and not spend that much time on social media. It's also just really important to remember that the people who are bullying you or spreading hate, all of that on social media, most of the time they're just really unhappy with themselves. And I know it's cliche to say, but that is the truth. If somebody's spending time to bully a young person online, then it's most likely that they're upset with who they are. It's not a direct reflection of anything about you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And obviously you're incredibly ambitious and goal orientated. I've noticed that about you, and you're incredibly well spoken, and you really obviously know exactly what it is that you want to achieve. Tell me where you see yourself in 10 years' time.
Well, in 10 years, I'm hoping that I've definitely finished college and gotten a degree. I'm planning on studying political science and music, which is kind of an interesting combo, but I'm definitely interested in both of them. And my dream would definitely be to expand my career, hopefully do some more live music, grow my audience, maybe even go on tour. That would be so cool and such a dream. But also, first and foremost, just enjoying my time with my family and with my friends and making a ton of memories and just really living my best life.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And obviously, like you said, it's important to you not to be on social media the whole time. It's important to actually enjoy the moment, because I think I find so much, especially with a lot of kids these days, they have their phones out all the time, and all they're doing, it seems, is taking pictures and videoing everything. And you're like, how can you be in the present moment if you're always on your phone?
That's so true.
So I think that that's a really interesting point. Okay, so another part of your business, and I know this so well myself, is rejection. It happens a lot. You're obviously acting and singing, and it happens a lot as an actor. I think it's probably even tougher than being a singer, because you have very direct rejection. It's like you go out for a role and you either get it or you don't get it, and you're in the room and you feel that pressure, and you see the girl who goes in next to you and you worry that, is she better than you, or is she more suitable for the role, or whatever it is. It seems a little bit more difficult as an actor than a singer. But how do you cope with that level of rejection in your business?
Yeah, you're right. It can be pretty difficult, especially when you're super close to the role, like you're in the late stages of callbacks. But I think it's just really important to note that a lot of the factors aren't even about you, because a lot of the time, especially when they're casting a family, it's about your look and how you blend with the other characters. And when they're casting a whole cast for a show or something, they want everybody to look unique. So all of that plays a role into what actually is happening and why you're being rejected. And also, I think that everything is a learning experience, because if you were doing something that wasn't the best choice in terms of acting, then you can still learn from that experience. And I mean, the shows that I have done and what I've been on has been so much fun. I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I'm really glad I got to be a part of everything that I was a part of. So the rejection doesn't really hurt as much when I realize how many incredible opportunities that I've had.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you've done some incredible work. And I want to just use this opportunity for you to talk a little bit about your work. Because you're, like you said, you're an actor, but you're also an award-winning singer. And you're coming out with your latest album, your first album this year, and you've been releasing a number of singles leading up to your album. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could just talk a little bit about your previous acting work that you've done, and then a little bit about your singing.
For sure. So in terms of acting, I've been on a couple of different shows. I was on the true crime show, Snap, She Made Me Do It, on Oxygen, which was really cool because I was playing the younger version of a serial killer, which was definitely an interesting role to play. And then I also did some Nickelodeon shows. I was a series regular on React to That, which was a spinoff of the YouTube series Kids React. And I was also a guest star on Game Shakers, which was so much fun. There's just a huge difference between doing drama and comedy in terms of how you act and how you go about the project, but it's been really great to experience both. I've also been in some other short films and commercials and web series. I think that with every project I've done, it's just been a great time getting into the character and kind of getting to know who my character is. And then in terms of singing, I've released a bunch of different songs in the past. I have over a dozen out, but I really wanted to put out kind of a body of work as like a collection of music, because in the past I would only do singles, and that was great. I love all my singles and I'm really proud of them, even the ones I wrote when I was like 10, because obviously they sound like a 10-year-old singing it, but I was 10 at that time, and I think it's still really impressive for a child to be doing that. But lately I've been working towards my album, which is coming out September 30th. It's called Between the Lines, and I'm really, really excited for everyone to hear that. So leading up to it, I've been releasing a couple of different singles. The first one was called Toxic, and it came out July 1st. That one's really about how, you know, some people are just inherently wanting to bring you down and wanting to spread toxicity into your life. Maybe it's a failed relationship or a failed friendship, anything like that. If a person's just trying to consistently bring you down and like their toxicity is following you around, the song is just kind of saying, you know, but you're toxic. I'm never going to understand you, and I don't have to deal with this. I can step away from the situation, which I think is really important for people to know, because a lot of the times people just keep getting sucked into unhealthy relationships and friendships and all of that. I think it's really important to know when to put your foot down and just be like, you know what, you may not want to change, but I'm going to step away from this because it's not healthy for me.
Wow.
And then yeah, that's a really fun song. I know I say it like that and it sounds like it's all like upsetting and deep, but it's actually super fun. It's a house melody with some pop. So it's really fun to dance to and kind of sing along and be like, you know what, you're just toxic.
Well, I love it that you're bringing out that. I mean, obviously this pertains to social media too. And like you said, you obviously deal very well with that. But I think that that's like a massive learning lesson for people. And that's not just when you're a teenager. I mean, this goes on later on in life. You're always dealing with different types of people, different types of personalities. And it's good to know the good hats from the black hats, as it were. So I think that's such an important subject to communicate about and to make your music about. Okay, carry on. Yes, tell me about your other singles.
Yeah, for sure. So after that, I released Like Us, which is a bit more uplifting and kind of motivational. It has a really bright pop melody, and it's essentially about how, you know what, we're not perfect, but there's nobody else like us, and we're all unique in our own special ways. There's nobody who's going to work as hard as you individually. There's nobody who's going to love as hard as you individually, and all of it. It's just a really positive song, and it's kind of different from Toxic, because Toxic's more of like kind of separating yourself from somebody who's toxic. Like Us is more about embracing a friendship or relationship that makes you feel really great and makes you feel empowered as an individual. And then after releasing Like Us, I released the Toxic music video, which basically is based on the song. It was so fun to film. There was a fun dance routine, and then I had 3 of my friends acting in it, and it was super funny because they were all having to act as if they were toxic for the video, but none of them were toxic in real life. So it was definitely really interesting to do that. But the video is out, and yeah, I'm really proud of how it turned out. It kind of had a little bit of storyline, but not too much. And then it had a lot of different fun performance in a bunch of fun locations.
Fantastic. Wow. I'm so excited for you to release your album. And everyone that's watching now, go and watch Toxic, the music video, and make sure that you pre-purchase the album once it's ready to be bought. So that's really exciting. We're going to make a little transition here and talk now about being a role model and how important that is to you, because that's the reason you're on the show. I'm really happy that you're putting out music that has such an important message, and it's important to me to create a community of people who are putting out that kind of positivity and setting a good example. So talk to me a little bit about being a role model and what that means to you.
I think since I have a platform on social media and with my music, it's important for me to spread a positive message, because there are people following me, and I don't want to be one of those accounts that's posting negativity, which honestly, I understand people who post about negative things going on, but I also think it's important to be promoting charities, promoting inspirational messages and positivity, and just making sure that people know that, you know, there's so much good in this world, and there's so many people working to make the world an even better place. So I think it's it's important to just spread all of that. And with my music, it's super, super important to me that people are able to relate to it and feel understood and feel heard. So it's always so rewarding when I hear that people actually relate to my songs and that maybe my song made them feel better about something that was happening, or maybe they had a bad day, then they listened to one of my uplifting songs and that made them feel better. All of that just means the absolute world to me. I think it's really important for people with a platform to be doing things that lift others up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And in terms of your charity work, I know that you're a big animal advocate, similar to me. You're a vegan, and rescuing animals and all of that is very, very important to you. And I know you're working with a number of charities. Could you just talk a little bit about your charity work and what you do to help others?
Yeah, animal rights has always been super important to me. I started volunteering at a dog rescue when I was 8, and I learned so much about caring for animals then. I also have 4 rescue cats who I love so much. I also would foster a bunch of different kittens and send them off to loving homes, which has always been just so great. I think bonding with animals is such an amazing experience because you're rescuing them from a difficult life in a shelter that they would have had otherwise. So it's important to be caring for them well. I also visited a farm sanctuary when I was 9, and there I learned a lot about factory farming and the cruelty of the meat and dairy industries, and that kind of pushed me to cut meat out of my diet. Since then, I've been a member of Farm Sanctuary's Youth Leadership Council. I've also worked with other organizations like the Factory Farming Awareness Coalition and the Raven Corps to advocate against factory farming and write articles and promote legislation and all of that to promote a more sustainable food system. I've also gone vegan since then, which has been a really great choice for me. I feel really great about it. And I think there's a lot of stigma behind cutting out meat and dairy from people's diets, but it's really important for people to know that you're still getting enough nutrients, you're still getting the protein that you need and all of that. And that is what's happening with me. And I just feel really great about my food choices now. I also work with other organizations. Like I said, animal rights is really important to me, but so is educational equity. So during COVID, when I noticed a huge learning gap, I co-founded an organization with some of my friends that led STEM and art sessions for elementary school students and did tutoring sessions for students of all ages, which has been really amazing. We hosted almost 300 sessions and got over 4,000 student signups. So that was really incredible for me. And we also had over 50 volunteers. So it was overwhelming at times, but it was also just such a great learning experience for me to kind of understand management and actually see a tangible difference being made. So that was also something that I was super passionate about, and one of the causes that's really important to me as well.
Wow, how inspiring. You're doing so much. It's really, really, really incredible. I'm so happy that you've been able to come on the show. And
thank you so much for having me.
yeah, I'm just really excited to listen to your next single coming out. You've got your music video, you've got your album, you've got all of your community work that you're doing, especially. It's really, really admirable. So thank you for everything that you do to help others. I hope you know that your work is really appreciated, and I'm really excited to further watch what you're doing next.
Thank you so much. Yeah, my next release is on August 26th, and that's my new song Palms, which is also super fun. It has an electronic beat. It's really uplifting and gives kind of tropical vibes like the title might suggest, but it's also about just staying in your happy place and continuing to be positive, even though people may try to pull you away from that.
Amazing, incredible. Okay, well, we're all going to be listening to your music now, so I'm really happy. I'm really happy to meet you and get to know you better. So thank you for being on the show, and we'll see you soon.
Yep, thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Kacey. Take care.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Bye.